window, no, display grid, and then you could change here the numbers. I don't remember how I got those. I think I added something here. Perspective grid numbers, I put that. You know, it's not an architecture program, so you have to remember it's not as precise. So, and for our purposes, because we're just using it to create diagrams, to create atmospheric and proportional, so you could just make a decision that each one of these is equal to 10 feet or 20 feet. It's not like 3D Max where you're gonna, you know, you're just, you're using it to conceptually develop. So it doesn't have that kind of precision. So, okay, so that was, any questions about so far? So curves that you could draw, and I know it's going to take time to practice. And lucky for you guys, you're going to see all this again in about an hour or sooner. In 2 hours. I'm going to go through this whole thing again.
Can you insert an image? Like, can we insert like an image for the site and just like play it there?
Yes.
So we can play it on it? Yeah.
You can. So there's two ways to insert an image. One is like a fake image plane. It doesn't as a background.
Yeah.
And the other thing is a texture map onto a plane that then you can manipulate. Right? So for instance, so I'm going to go back to surfaces. I'm going to create a plane. So that's just a plane. I just dragged some plane on there. And then it's a little complicated, so we'll probably have to, if you're actually going to do this, we'll have to go over it again. You go to Window, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. I have an older version of Maya, so it's very different than this part. You scroll on here till you hit File. Double click on that. Open, double click on that. You're not going to remember this, but at least you'll see it. And you click on this little folder. And then you import an image. I don't have any images, but where do I find an image? I don't have any images, so I can't. So anyway, you do that, and then an image would come in, and then you drag it on the plane, and there'll actually be an image on that plane. We'll have to do it when you actually want to do it, so we can go through that. Once you have that, you know, this plane, again, if you rebuild this and create like a super dense grid on it, right, and then F8, and then you imagine this image is on there, why is this not showing me points? Then you could go in and you could, you know, manipulate it based on that, right? And then the image will actually get manipulated. So the tool that we're actually going to use, which again I'll explain again in 2 weeks, I think we're doing that, is we're going to create, we're going to extrude. So we're going to do the same thing with the curves like we did before. So create. I'll just use the pencil tool for this purpose. We're going to do a curve in one direction, and then you're going to do a curve in the opposite direction. And the initial curve will be random, like your initial component. We're going to practice till we get one that's useful, and I'll talk more about that then. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create an extrusion between the two, and the extrude tool is this one. And it gives you something that I didn't like that one. Try the other one. It's a terrible one. It's the shape of my curve. I like my curve. Let's try to separate it. Oh god, why does it look like that? Better. Okay, so say this is the initial component, and what's different between an extrusion and a loft, right? The loft just makes a simple surface between, but it's always a tube. But the extrude actually creates a three-dimensional form, as you can see, and a pretty interesting one. So we're going to start with an initial one, and then we're going to create different levels of deformation on it. So you're going to start to slowly deform it through manipulating the curve. So for instance, you can see if I start doing this, how it starts to actually deform and change.
So is that like a bath, and the other one is like go through the bath? Is this like the original shape, and that's one is the bath? So it's just walk through the same shape all the way. Like if we have a cylinder and there is a bath, so it's just walk like this.
Yeah.
Is that how it's work?
So there's two and one.
Is a bath?
The back.
Bath. It's like a line.
Uh-huh.
And we have this shape, so we just make this shape walk in
Yes,
this.
it extrudes across it, exactly. So one extrudes along the path of the other one, right?
Yeah.
Path, that's what you're saying. Yeah, so you're going to test different ways of, where's the other curve? You could see how, you know? So we're just going to look at very gradual sets of deformation, just based on these tools that we have here. First, we're going to find the ideal one, and these are going to be the moments that you're going to use to express the different levels of modification, right? We're going to transfer it to this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at it, we're going to render it, we're going to make a diagrammatic so that we can code it. We're going to actually render it, and then we're also going to look at it as a series of points. So the way you do that is you go to shading, points. So it's going to turn into a series of points like this, and then we're going to have a rendering that it's going to get overlapped on. So then we're actually going to understand it as more of a diagrammatic condition. We're going to see it in these different states. But again, don't worry about this. This is a lot of information. Until you get to see what it looks like. Let me show you what it looks like rendered. So rendering is a really complex